Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Blessed be the name of the Most High. I want to apologize in advance if my voice becomes very raspy, but I told y'all in my community post that I was a bit under the weather and I had this horrible cough, but praise y'all that it has gotten better. But anyways, in the dream, I was in Africa and I was in a small village, and I was in this house and it was like two women that lived in the house, and it was children in the house, and there was a lot of children within the village, to be honest. And so one of the African women were telling me about the little girl and her brother, and she was like, yeah, they're not my kids. She was like, I found them. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, I found them. She was like, I found the little girl first, and she was like, I was just walking and I heard a faint cry. And so I went to go check it out. And I saw this little baby girl wrapped up in a blanket in a basket. So she took her and she brought her home, and her sisters, they took care of her. And then I guess maybe a few months later, or maybe a year later, I would say, she was out walking and she saw this young lady holding something, and she just looked suspicious. And she saw her go and lay the baby down on the ground, the same spot where she dropped the little girl off. And I guess at that time, that's when she put two and two together, that the little girl had belonged to her too, because she dropped the little boy off in the same area, same location where she dropped her daughter off at. And so she had went over and confronted the mother, and she asked her, she said, what are you doing? Why are you abandoning your children? And she was like, I can't take care of them. She's like, I don't want them. And she was like, so I dropped them off here because I know somebody's going to take them and take good care of them. And so she was like, do you have my daughter? She was like, yeah, I have her. She was like, me and my sister, we took care of them. Well, took care of her daughter. And she was like, well, good. She was like, well, you can take my son too. And she hurried up and walked off. And so the African lady, she grabbed the little boy and she brought him home, and they took care of him too. And so I was just like, wow, like, that's so sad just to know that, she just dropped her babies off like that and just really trusted that somebody was going to come and take care of them. And so she was like, yeah, she abandoned her son too, and we took care of them. She was like, we take in a lot of orphan kids and we raise them. We are a small community and we come together and we just look out for each other. And so I was really touched by that. And I met the little girl and her brother, and they were very well spoken, very smart. And so I guess we were outside and I saw this woman walking, and the African lady was like, that's their mother right there. And I was like, that's her? And it was like, she was like, yeah. And the mother looked really, really young. And so I got up and I walked over there to her. Like, hey, I was like, how are you? And she was like, I'm fine. And I was telling her about her children. I was like, well, you do have a daughter and son, right? And she just looked at me and she was like, well, how you know? And I was like, well, I know the women who took them in. And I asked her why she abandoned them. And she was like, because I'm not proud of the things that I did in the past. She was like, I couldn't give them the life that they needed. And as she was talking, I was able to discern that she was a prostitute. And she was, working the streets or whatever. And she just didn't have a proper home, for her to be able to care for her children. And so she just got rid of them. And plus, those children were conceived through her line of work, if you know what I mean. There was no attachment that she had with her children, no bond or anything. So it was really sad to see. But they were happy, they were well taken care of. So I bless the Most High for that. And yeah, so he was just showing me like a lot of women are going to abandon their children in the end times, and a lot of us believers going to have to take in a lot of orphan children. And I thought it was real beautiful that the African women came together and took in a lot of the children that were abandoned by their family, and they just took care of them with no complaint. And so that's what it's going to be like in the end times. And we are already seeing mothers tired of their children and they don't want to take care of them, so they abandon them or they give them to CPS, or they end up hurting them and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And so pray for the children, pray for the orphans, because a lot of orphan children are being abused in these facilities that they are being cared for in. And I just want to share that dream. I thank you guys for tuning in. May the Most High bless you all. Until next time, talk to you guys later.